Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Conversation with Dee. I have my special guest, Miss Deborah Bond.
Hi.
So tell me, how did this evolution start? How did your whole evolution start?
Oh, man. I, like a lot of singers, it goes back to childhood, but unlike a lot of singers, I was not raised in the traditional church where, you grow up in the gospel choir and you get that influence, that vocal influence and that training. I just had a conversation with my mom about this recently because we were talking about funk music and we were talking about Parliament, Funkadelic, P-Funk. And she was telling me how much my father, who is no longer living, but she was telling me how much he loved Parliament, Funkadelic, and she would remember seeing him walking down the street with his album in his arm, and like, I got the latest P-Funk, and I was telling her, I just think like it was just born in me. Being born in the 70s, I'm a 70s baby, 80s kid, so I was just bred into like all kinds of music around me just all the time, from just the climate of the times. Like you had Stevie Wonder, you had Tina Turner, you had Lionel Richie, but then you had like, I don't know, like the Carpenters and Fleetwood Mac and all these. So much happening, and I was a very aware child. I was just really aware of music. And so I think that that kind of set things off for me. I think I was really born to pay attention to music. Why? Only God knows. But like, but I was shy. I was really shy. I had low self-esteem. I wasn't the most confident kid. I was kind of like, I loved singing, but I was scared to do it for people. So I would only sing for like a few of my homegirls around the neighborhood. And I think by the time I got to like middle school and high school, I slowly started coming out of my shell. And I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, born and raised. A lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of Black people in Connecticut.
Yes, there are.
And especially New Haven. And so I moved to DC when I was 17 to go to American University. And I think that really set things off because I came here. I thought I was going to, kind of immerse myself in journalism, which I still do. But I was also having this minor focus in vocal performance. And I started just meeting really innovative people. I started noticing how DC was such a live music city, even though people thought it was, people thought it was political, which it is. It was also like go-go was thriving. You had music popping. And I just got into that. I just like wanted to meet creative people, wanted to talk about music, wanted to try to like find studios. And, it just for me, it just kept going. It just kept going. Once I kind of decided, okay, meet some creatives, make a home studio. Like I had homies who were like, we'll be in their closet,
exactly.
We closet with a cheap microphone, like trying to sing a little beat to beat. And it just kept pushing me more and more to create, to write. I have been writing already since I was 10. I have been writing poetry. I've been writing songs. So by the time I was 17, 18, I had been really comfortable with writing. And then finding that tribe, finding like the people in this city that helped me feel good about who I was and feel good about my singing and my writing, that just set it off. And it's really has not really stopped since then, especially since I turned 21. So I'm constantly evolving. I'm still evolving, I'm still evolving.
Well, I love that story, like definitely, because literally, you always hear that everybody started in the church. Like, you're right. And not everybody had that start.
No.
So it's always great to hear different stories, as well as hearing that people started in church as well, of course. But like, it's interesting to hear the different ones as well. Yeah. So I know when I found out about you, I actually was at the Mickey Howard concert and you were doing your thing. That's how I met you. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, you did an amazing job. And I had thanked, I was like, you guys were great. And you were there with another young lady. And she did amazing too. Yes. And so I was like, wow, these ladies can sing. And I liked, y'all really held y'all own.
Thank you.
So I was like, I started like, I think I started following you, of course, on Instagram. And I started seeing the things that you were doing. And then I think next time I looked up, you were doing something with Incognito. And I was like, oh my God, this young woman is no joke.
Yeah, I'm
And
trying.
then like you did something with hold on. Foreign exchange.
Yep.
Like, okay. And it's so interesting because I had been listening to them for a couple of years, like way back. And I never, you hear the music, but you never know who's behind it.
Yeah.
So then you get the theme song for Tika something. So I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so how does that feel like? I mean, because you're so young. I call everybody young.
I wish I was. I wish I felt so young, but I'm gonna take that. In retrospect, I have my elders who are like, "Baby girl, you nothing but a baby." Then I listen to the 20-somethings, and I'm like, "You ain't nothing but a baby." Am I getting I'm proud to say, where I am in my career. I've worked really hard, and I have learned so much, and it feels really good to like. One, know that I didn't give up. I did not give up. And some of the things that I dreamt of, some of the places and stages that I dreamt of, some of the artists that I dreamt of meeting and knowing, now I'm at the table per se, and so it feels really good. It's an interesting contrast because according to the music industry, I'm not necessarily young, I'm actually 40 plus. So the music industry puts a lot of pressure on youth, puts a lot of pressure on image. And so, I'm always like just praying that like my relevancy still lasts. But at the same time, I'm such an aggressive, like finder of music and how I can stay involved that like, I feel like the song Ain't No Stopping Us Now, we on the move. I feel like I can. And it gets very, very hard. It gets very, very hard. I'm not going to paint a perfect picture, but my personality just wants to keep going. I don't really feel like there's anything else that I can do. And like having a conversation with you, Conversations with Dee, hearing even you say like, wow, you've done this and this. And it's like, sometimes you need that reminder, when you feel like, sometimes you feel like you're not keeping up. And then you have someone tell you, oh my God, you did this and this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm holding my own, and I think that for artists out there, we got to remember to smell the flowers, smell the roses, and like appreciate the steps, large and small. Yep. Appreciate those steps, so I'm holding on. I have, like, my boy D'Angelo has a song. He says, good days, bad days, halfway days. And I'm rolling with that.
Amen. Yeah. And so that is so awesome because like for me, listening to the music and just hearing your voice, you have one of those voices where you could do a lot with it. So like when I heard that you were doing things with Incognito, I was like, I can definitely see that. And then I know, like I can see jazz, I can see R&B, neo soul, rock. You definitely had that type of eclectic type vibe. Definitely.
Thank you. I love
it. Always start off like that though.
I always wanted to sing everything. I always wanted to sing everything. My root is soul music, R&B music. I grew up with Whitney Houston. I was always listening to Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige. Like I was always an R&B girl. But at the same time, I was such a strange little music junkie as a young person that I remember my first memories of hearing smooth jazz as a kid. I remember, hearing things like Bob James and Grover Washington. But then I also really loved alternative music. Like growing up, I loved the Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams Are Made. I love Duran Duran.
My favorites.
I love George Michael. Then, but then I loved Dolly Parton. I loved like Bonnie Raitt. Like it was so many. So for me, I'm always, because of that love. And as I got older and I really had the means to explore the music, thanks to like all of these other streaming things, I really started deep diving into like a lot of alternative music, a lot of like trip hop, acid jazz, like drum and bass, like all of that. So my dream is to dabble in all of it. Even, and the funny thing is, jazz was probably the lowest on the totem pole for me because I was so intimidated by it. And I felt
Really?
like, yeah, I felt like I didn't have the goods for jazz. And now that I'm older and I work with a lot of jazz musicians and jazz vocalists, oh, best believe there's going to be probably a jazz record in my future. Now
I can see it.
And definitely like, a rock record too. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, your voice is one of those voices where, like I said, you can do a lot with it. And so I looked at the first album and the second album, and then I was, so what started with that? I mean, how did you start with those and then go into Compass One?
Okay, so the first album, Day After, this is around like I'm 22 years old, and I was dating a musician who was a part of a funk band, and he was doing his thing and I was doing my thing. I was with kind of like a hip hop R&B band at the time, and I was kind of playing the role, for lack of better ways to put it, but I was kind of like the Lauryn Hill to the Fugees. So it was like rappers, and I was like the beat girl, you know, doing all of that, and I was loving it. But I had this desire I wanted to do. And I never like to take away from any particular genre of music, because if it's good music, it's good music. But in my mind, this is what my mindset was, is that I wanted a more sophisticated sound, a more adult sound. And I wanted to kind of lend towards like my influence of Anita Baker, Phyllis Hyman, you know, Mickey Howard, Regina Bell, that kind of stuff. And so the guy I was dating, he was in this funk band, and that funk band was breaking apart. And he said, you know, 3 of us have left that band, myself and 2 others. And we want to be the dream producer team for somebody. What's up? And I was like, listening to what they have been working on, and was like, what about me? Like, I'm your girlfriend, so you can give me the easy plug. I love what you guys have been doing. What about me? And so he called on his friend who was a bass player named Chuck. He called on his boy who was a drummer named Kennard. And the 3 of them formed a unit that they called Third Logic. Third Logic, they wanted to be this production team that worked with a lot of artists and gave them, you know, this dope sound. And so I was their first to try it with. And right off the break, they gave me 3 tracks. And I was like, Sweet Lullabies was one, a ballad. Giving Up was one, another mid-tempo kind of like bluesy neo soul. And then the other was Love's Been Waiting. We were like, we got to demo these songs. And so we were young with our day jobs, trying to figure out life. And someone mentioned to me that there's an organization called the DC Arts Commission that gives grants to artists that are trying to work on music. And so I applied for a grant to help us, you know, record a demo, and I got it. And I got about $1,000. It's like close to 20 years ago. So that was like way, 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 way big money. So I got that, and we did those 3 tracks in the studio, and we were like, let's just try to start performing them anywhere we can. So we would U Street, DC.
That's where it's at.
We worked that territory, you know? And so we started working U Street. We started getting a really good response just from 3 or 4 songs. Like, we would pop up and stuff, open mics, whatever. And then we kind of sat down and were like, I was like, yo, I want to do a full album with you guys. Can I do a full album? Where are we going to get the money to record this? Someone said, you know, you can apply as many times as you like. It's just grants. I applied again and got $2,500. Finished the album. Started performing that all over DC. We started bringing it to Philly. Philly was feeling it. Started bringing it to New York. New York was feeling it. And honestly, that movement has been kind of moving step back ever since. We really made a name for ourselves in DC with that first record, Day After. And then I would say that came out in 2002, maybe. By about 2007, things started slowing down. 2008, things started slowing down. We all got our day jobs. We getting frustrated with day jobs. We need to get into some more music. And I had gone through a little bit of writer's block. And we just started kind of all putting our heads together, like we got to get some more music together. And that led to the next record, Madame Palindrome, which came out in 2011. And by that point, we had shared the stages with many people. Flowetry was hot at that time. Guapale.
Yeah.
We were opening for Rasan Patterson. You know, like we were doing quite a bit as opening acts, but we kind of wanted to solidify that we could like carry our own. So we wanted that next album to be really strong. And at that time, everybody was getting the dopest mix engineers and like trying to make everything look really glossy, try to get music videos on BET or VH1. And so that was our next step. And so we worked. We slaved over the second album. I mean, it was not an easy album. It was not an easy album to write, and it was not an easy album to push because it was very different than a lot of other folks out there. We had a little bit of Pink Floyd influence. We had a little bit of Prince influence. We had a little bit of Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Janet Jackson. We kind of mixed everything in on that album. And we went really, really deep with trying to get really cool music videos for it and all of that. And it was a tough one to push out. It was like, if you're a parent, it was like that tough baby that was like, took some labor, you know. A Day After felt more natural and organic. Madame Palindrome felt like serious work, and we had something to prove. And then when it dropped, it was very well received, and it was made waves in London, made big waves in London, and started opening up people's eyes to what I was doing. And then we get music videos on VH1 Soul. We get some write-ups in magazines, and things were really, really flourishing around 2011 to about 2014. About 2014, things slowed down. 2015, I was getting frustrated balancing a day job in radio and trying to do gigs and travel with foreign exchange. I was trying to do a bunch of stuff around that time. That's when I started teaming up with Incognito. Bluey from Incognito heard Madame Palindrome, loved it, was trying to work with me. So I was trying to juggle a lot, and I was getting very overwhelmed. And so I decided to quit my job in radio at the end of 2015. And I had saved some money. I had come up with a plan. I was doing jingles on the side that was giving me a little income. And end of 2015, I quit my job, and so many life changes happened from that point on, good and not so good. Quit my job in November. I said I wanted to do it for my birthday. My birthday's in November. I did it. By December, I got offered a music residency in Doha, Qatar, in the Middle East. Jazz at Lincoln Center, Doha. I left America around December 14th. I came back January 14th. It was amazing. It was hard. It was crazy. I get an offer to come back summer of 2016. Meanwhile, all these other crazy things are happening. That relationship that I started in 2002 or 1 ended in February 2016. I got another offer to come back to Doha. And then I got an offer to go on a world tour with Incognito. So I'm having good things happen and not so good things happen. And I always say to people that was the beginning of my Compass story, because there was all these departures, leaving my job, leaving the person I thought I was going to marry. At that point, I had been with him for 14 years. And by the time I got done with my world tour with Incognito and all these travels in 2016, 2017 got really tough. 2018 got even tougher. I wasn't getting any shows. I wasn't getting any Deborah shows. I was getting offered to sing in a bar, sing some cover songs. That's never been my steez. And by 2018, I was contemplating if it was a bad idea to have quit my job. Can I sustain myself as a single woman with 2 records, feeling very lost, feeling very frustrated with my career. By summer 2019, I decided that I needed to, so backtrack. When my relationship ended, there was 1 band member gone instantly. 3 members to two. My ex was in my band, and love him dearly still. It didn't end on any crazy dramatic thing. It was just, we were young when we got together. We lasted through our 30s, and by my late 30s, things were not happening. So when I decided to depart from him, he decided to depart from the band, and that left two people left to be my producers and my teammates, and they were trying their very best to get this next record written with me, but nothing was happening. A lot of life stuff was happening for them as well. And so by the end of 2019, I decided I wanted to just step out all by myself without them, who had been with me for 15 years, and try to figure out how I'm going to do music alone. And I started reaching out to people in 2019. You got any tracks? I'm trying to work on a new album. I'm not sure what the vibe is going to be. I don't know. Like, I was so like, it was a really hard time between 2017 and 2019. And then the pandemic came. You know, like December 2019, I was like, I'm leaving my band. I'm going to go on my own, and I'm going to figure this out. And then 3 months later, the world shut down. I lost any kind of gig I had. And I was stuck in this room, stuck in this apartment, alone, trying to deal, you know? And so I called on a lot of friends to motivate me, to give me music, to help me figure out some writing ideas. And I sat here, and I mean, if I could tell you, literally, I could pull this over. Let's see if I can pull it over. And there's a microphone and a shield. Yes. I sat right in this seat at this little nook. There's a window in front of me. There's my living room behind me. And I started writing at night. I would sit here. I would turn blue lights on. I would drink some wine. And I would just write and write and write and write and write. And the next thing I knew, the album started coming together. I started thinking, you know, I feel lost, but I got to trust myself. I got to trust this like inner compass. Then that gave me the idea for the name. And then the more I started to just think about it and write about it and shed it out, the more it really just took form. So, I mean, literally last April, I started writing this record, and I was done by November 2020. All kinds of things were happening in the world. George Floyd. I was contemplating where I am in the world, feeling lost. I had also met new people. I was looking for new love. All these things were happening. And I was just like, write it out, write it down and get it out. And in a 7 month period, all my homies quarantined, had home studios. Can you lay down some bass on this joint at your house? Can you lay down some keys? I know you in LA. We don't got to be in the studio together. Can you lay down some percussion? I know you in London. It's cool. Can you lay down some drums? I know you in Nashville. I just called on my tribe, and Compass came to life. It came to life. I can't even really, I did not think it was going to happen. I hadn't had an album in 10 years. And here we are. Here we are. Sometimes when you're lost, you're not lost. Or there's that phrase, all wanderers are not lost. And I felt so wandery and so midlife crisis. What am I doing? But the universe, God, showed me I wasn't lost. I was right on track. I was right on track.
Yeah.
I made a music video during the quarantine, in the pandemic, all by myself, but me and the two directors. He was like, you don't need nobody in the video. You can keep the social distance. So I'm in the video by myself. It came out dope. Sometimes you got to realize that you got to trust. You got to trust that internal compass. You got to trust it. And at a time when I felt ultimately lost, struggling with money, struggling with 40 plus Black woman stuff, I pumped an album out. Go figure. Go figure.
And that's good, because literally a lot of people during, so we're still in COVID, but during, the early stages of whatnot, that's what a lot of people started doing. They're like, you know what, I'm gonna set up at home.
Yep.
And a lot of people got together and they made things happen.
Yep.
And a lot of people, the creatives, they were like, you know what, I'm gonna do something too. And so a lot of good things came from this horrible pandemic. A lot of great things came out.
I tell people it was all your path. Some people needed to stop. Some people were overworked. I know some people close to me that I was glad that they were just forced to stay home and not slave every day and not work like a daggone dog. Other people needed a kick in the pants. They needed to wake up and get some work done, and they had time to do it. So I think it's as hard as it has been, and it has been multi-layered for so many people with stresses, traumas, you know, but there's always going to be light in the dark. There's always going to be light in the dark. And for me, even though missing my family in Connecticut, worrying about, I have a special needs, my big sister has Down syndrome, worried about her, worried about my mom who's taking care of her 24/7 now, you know, like my mom is older, like on top of all this pain and all this stuff, my sister puts on my record and she be like, oh, you know, and it brings her joy, you know? So there was light there for me. There was light there for me, even though it was a dark time and it still is hard. There was a light there for me, and it came through the record. Yeah.
And it's good to hear that. Like, that's why for me, like, you know, interviewing so many people just to hear everybody's perspective and to hear just to see people like, okay, they're still finding something to believe in and, you know, keep going, because a lot of people are not there, you know, and they'll get there praying that all works out for everybody and claiming it for them in the name of Jesus.
Yes.
So, you know, it's interesting and it's great to hear these stories.
Yeah.
So in terms of the working at home, like studio, how was that? Was that different from being out, you know, in the regular studio? Did you feel like, I guess, like it challenged you a little bit more?
It did challenge me a bit more because, to be real frank, there were certain pieces of equipment I needed to invest in. The universe, don't make no mistakes, because I was struggling financially before COVID. When COVID came and there was like a couple of stimulus and a weekly pandemic chunk of change just going in there, I wasn't even that bad. I have a very humble lifestyle. I don't need a lot. I'm not Miss Name Brand. I don't have a car. I don't have a lot of bills. So that money was just flowing in, and it allowed me to buy what they call a microphone interface. I already had a good microphone from doing jingle work for years. I had already been working from home. In addition to working in radio, I was doing jingles at home. So I had several microphones, but there was other pieces of equipment that I needed, studio monitors to listen to the sound very nice. I just started investing in all of that stuff. Once I started investing in all of that, dropped a little cream that you can write off if you're not. So once I got everything I got, it was just really about relying on my friends and my network to help me learn how to use this stuff, because that kind of could get frustrating. Understanding the tools and understanding the hardware, that got frustrating. But then the rest, the executive producer of this album, his name is Brandon Lane. He's out of Richmond, Virginia. He's very young and just ambitious. He is the future of music. He's a talented individual. He produced 4 or 5 out of the 9 tracks on the album he produced. He lived right up the street. He wasn't afraid to be near me. So he would come by and he would show me how to set it up, and he would help me while I was recording stuff. And once that got underway, it was easy. It was actually better because I'm a stage person. I like being on stage, seeing you instant, boom, boom. The studio is scary. Sing it. You had a little note there. Do it again. And so you're doing. I didn't have no time. Then the time is up. It's the next person coming in. I will be up in here 3 a.m. Here.
Hey, Deborah, not to cut you off. You're going in and out. You're going in and out.
Am I?
To cut. Yep. I didn't want to cut you off, but like it's blurred, and then like the sound is going in and out. Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear you. It was like it'll like go in and then it'll go out, and then
you know, it might have been my janky internet.
Mine is like that too. I have days like when I do the Teddy Riley.
Yes. Oh my. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's
Okay.
just like when you're when you're talking, sometimes it'll sound like in the water, like a little bit.
Ooh, I don't even. Okay, well, it might also be like maybe I'm leaning into the microphone and I'm getting a little too close, and that kind of thing would drive me crazy during COVID, like troubleshooting live streams, troubleshooting the internet while I'm trying to record. But you know what? It wasn't really that bad. It was not that bad. I was literally done in 6 months. I was done, and I am a slow worker when it comes to recording. I was done in 6 months. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how many people had what they needed at their house to record their parts. And I mean, there's a song called Burden. The person played violin in Boston. The person played percussion on that song from Incognito in London. I have a song called Stride. The drummer played drums in Nashville. The keyboard player was in LA. It just all came together, and it was not that difficult. You got friends that know how to engineer. You got friends that know, it's all about your network. My network held me down. I literally sat just like this. Just singing right here in my living room. Usually it'd be night and it'd be like blue lights or candles.
Is that the snowball?
This is a blue mic.
Blue mic. Okay.
Yeah, this is a real deal Joan. This one really, really came through for me. The whole record on this right. And literally I tell everybody that I do these interviews with that this seat that I'm sitting on, I literally sat here so many days for so many weeks that I broke one of them. I had two. It's a little bar kind of thing right here. I had two stools. I sat here doing so much work that one of them, right before a live stream, one of my stools collapsed. When I went to press go, I dropped. And now this one.
I'm glad you okay. You didn't get hurt because wow.
The seat. It came off.
Oh my God.
It came off the chair.
You could put it back though with screws, right?
But you know what? Somebody told me to frame it. So I'm gonna make a compass on here. This is to me, this is like a demonstration of like the hard work I put in in COVID, sitting my little booty in this chair, no back, just sitting here working. I'm a very sentimental person, so I'm gonna definitely take my friend's advice. I'm gonna have someone draw a compass on this seat, and I'm gonna frame it. Yes, piece of art, and say, you know what, this came off because I was working on that album.
As a reminder, like if anything, like for instance, if you ever get to a place where, hey, you know what, maybe I can't do it, you can just look at that and say, you know what,
I can do it.
Back then, I did it. I can do it now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So tell me about the Grammy chapter governor. Well, the chapter DC Grammy governor. Tell me about that.
The organization NARIS, which is what is basically the Grammys organization. They have chapters all over the country of creatives, musicians, singers, artists, publicists, engineers. If you have done enough work where you have enough credits on different albums, you can apply for membership where, depending on where you live, that chapter has a membership, like it has a chapter. And you basically, through joining a chapter, you get invited to the world of the Grammys. You get invited to events that help you learn how to be a better business person, how to team build, how to network. And a lot of people don't know that beyond just going to the Grammys in February, there's this whole year-long organization of creatives that are working for the betterment of artists. And so I joined many years ago, and I loved being a part of the community. I joined the DC chapter, and I just fell in love with there were so many different types of events that you could go to network. And through being in that environment, I had someone pull my little coattail and say, listen, this chapter also has a board of governors, and these are a smaller group of people who have been involved and are seen as leaders and tastemakers and game changers that come to this table and learn more in depth about what goes on behind the scenes for the Grammys. And they said to me, I think you should consider being a part of this. And I was like, the board of governors, like, how do I even, me? Like, I didn't think I could even do it. I was just happy to be a part of the Grammy organization. And somehow, some way, my peers voted me in. And it has been an amazing journey being a part of the actual Grammy board, because you're in a room where there are people at the table that are like, I'm sitting there and there's Crystal Waters, you know what I mean? There's Mesa Leak from Incognito. There's lawyers who've represented major artists. And then there's me. And I'm like, we're picking each other's brain about the industry, and we're having these conversations. And it's just been an amazing ride. It's been an amazing ride. And I do encourage artists who are serious artists, who have done some serious work, who maybe, whether it be you release a few albums that are on iTunes, whether it be that you sung backgrounds on a few records, whether it's been you play some instruments on a few records, I encourage them to look into their local chapter, and they're all over Memphis, Nashville, New York, Chicago, LA, all over Detroit, not Detroit. What's it over there in Detroit? Probably Chicago's the closest. They're everywhere. And look into if you qualify to become a member, because if you have enough credits, you can become what's called a voting member. And as a voting member, you get a Grammy ballot in the mail, and you get the opportunity to vote for nominees. And then once they get nominated, you vote for the winners. And the better quality voters, the better quality winners. So, people sometimes want to have their complaints about organizations. And I'm like, but that's like saying I'm mad that Trump won, but I didn't vote.
True.
You gotta vote. You gotta become a member. So it's been a great ride for me. I've gone to the Grammys many times. And as much as I love that, what I really do love is being able to share my voice and help make positive change in the world of music and entertainment. And also learn from others. Learning from me is the big thing. Kind of sometimes I just take so much in. I'm just quiet. I'm just listening and figure like, wow, I'm here, So it's been great so far. It's been great.
And I know that you were just with Dionne Warwick, and how was that? Because that was about the whole initiative, or the law that they want to put into place where people can't get credit for
People don't realize you're not getting, when we hear our music on the radio, we don't get any money. There is a small little law that's old and outdated that people don't get paid for AM, FM radio spins.
I never knew that.
And as an artist for many years, I didn't even know that. I was like, why is my royalty so low? And, now there's this new act. Let me make sure I get it right. The American Fairness Music Act, or American Music Fairness Act. That's what it is. American Music Fairness Act, AMFA. And it would basically change that all up. It would make it so that we get some royalties anytime our music is on WHUR or, 90, on KYS or wherever, WPFW, I'm getting some money. And so this many leaders in music like Dionne Warwick, like Sam Moore, who's from the group Sam and Dave that sang Hold On, I'm Coming, Corey Glover, who's in the group Living Color, who I love, he was there, Eric Robertson, Raheem DeVaughn. We basically wanted to stand out in front of the Capitol to lend our support and push to get this bill that has been introduced to Congress, to get it signed. Not just introduced, like here, the bill is here, but now let's get it signed so we can start getting these royalties to these artists who deserve it, And being amongst Dionne Warwick, it was surreal. And then being in front of the Capitol building with a Democrat and a Republican who are both fighting for us, two congressmen, it was a good time. I loved it. The Grammys has an event called Grammys on the Hill, that happens every year where they have artists like us meet with congressmen, and like we explain to them why some of these old laws got to change, and explain to them how our livelihood relies on it. So far so good. I'm enjoying it.
It's good to have great people be a part of something that's definitely needed. Yeah. And hopefully that passes soon, because people need to get paid. You know, I look at people like the late Little Richard. Yeah. And they did a lot of things to people, like in terms of writing, in terms of productions, putting people's names on things, and they hadn't done a lick of work.
Yes.
I mean, Frankie Lyman, that story was like, wow.
Last 20 feet from stardom, man. The documentary 20 Feet from Stardom, Darlene Love. Her voice was on the Monster Mash, all kinds of songs. The song for Christmas. I mean, like you think, then they put someone else's name on the record. Her voice, and she didn't for years get any credit, any royalties. It's really until that movie came out that she started to get recognition, and her career's starting all over again in her like 60s, you know? So we have to be aware that music is fun and music is great when you're on stages. There's a whole nother world out there that needs to be addressed that comes down to us living from this. Who wants to go to a 9-to-5 and be told you're going to get half of your pay?
Nobody.
We go through it too as artists. We go through it too. Yeah,
I agree. Like, it's so many things that I've learned about just like the music, and I'm like, oh my God, that's wrong. Like, that should have not happened. And where was this person? Where was this attorney? Where was this person that to fight for this individual? That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. But
it's so collaborative. Well, collaboration wise, because you've worked with a lot of people. Who would you love to work with next?
Next, I would love to work with a singer named Leanne LaHavis. She's out of London. She's doing very, very well. She's pretty big actually, but she's still pushing her way through America, but she's got a cult following of American artists who love and support her. I would love to work with Leanne LaHavis. I would love to work with an artist named James Fauntleroy. He's more of a producer. He's done stuff with Rihanna. He's done stuff with Brandy. He has this, like, he's done stuff with the internet. He has like this way of producing kind of like pop stuff, but with this Stevie Wonder kind of, he must be a piano player from the way the songs sound. I would love to work with him. I would love to work with Jasmine Sullivan.
Yes.
To work with Anderson .Paak.
Yes.
I would love to work with Pharrell. You know, there's so many. Missy Elliott. I love some Missy Elliott. I would love to work with her. There's so many. I could go on and on and on and on and on. I would love to work with a few alternative artists, like an artist named Imogen Heap, who does a lot of like really out there production. She's like not from America, I don't believe. Like maybe from the Netherlands or something. I'm still yet to be on a foreign exchange record. I work with them. I'm not on any foreign exchange record. I would love to like actually be on a song where I'm singing lyrics with Fonte, not just saying "Eo, eo, eo, baby," not just my brother Zoe. There's so many. But yeah, that's right off the top of my head. Yeah.
Those are awesome. I've heard of the one before, because when I used to work at Best Buy, I used to always put the CDs, albums up, and I would look at the different CD covers. I'm like, that's an interesting name.
Yeah.
Imogen Heap. Ian.
Yes.
H-A-P.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. I would always like look at the CDs or whatnot and just look at different songs. Yeah.
Got some really eclectic, really intricate. And she's a producer and an engineer. She's one of the few artists that has been like nominated for engineering awards, not just singer-songwriter. So I really dig that about her. Yeah.
So where can everybody find you at?
I am out here in the internet streets. You can find all of my albums on all streaming platforms. The first 2 albums have physical copies. The Compass only has physical copies out of Japan. You can order them from Japan. The worldwide copies are on their way, probably not until August. But I have Oh, thank you, Lena. You can find out more about like some other. I do voice coaching. I do jingle work on my website, www.deborahbond.com. Instagram at BORABOND. Twitter at BORAHBOND. And Facebook, Deborah Bond / www.facebook.com/Deborah Bond Music. And then I have all these cool music videos on my Deborah Bond Music YouTube channel. So I'm out there. I'm not hard to find.
And it's Deborah, not Deborah.
My father was he was a 70s. He was a Hebrew Israelite in the 70s, like a Black Israelite. And so he named me the Hebrew, actually the Jewish like Hebrew pronunciation is Deborah. Deborah. So he's like, you will be Deborah, Naomi, Bente, Zebulun, Bond.
Okay. So everybody is Deborah, not Deborah. I pronounced it wrong, so make sure.
It's so common because right. I'm an American. It's a Deborah is the American way, but it is Deborah Bond. Yes.
So thank you so much, because I know you got to get going, and I want to go over time.
You see, I can talk, girl. You see, I can talk.
No, it's okay. No. You look. You can come back anytime because I'm in DC as well. You know that. So
yes.
We'll do a part 2. So
yes,
I wish you the best. You're gonna break a leg in all of your journeys. Break a leg means good luck for all the people who don't know in the performance.
And cross, I can break a leg Friday. I have my first show with an audience in DC in Maryland at a spot called Creative Suitland.
Okay.
And it's at 7:00 on Friday. It's outdoors, so if it rains, it's not happening. I'm praying it doesn't rain because it's already been rescheduled since May. But it's at Creative Suitland. In my Instagram bio, there are tickets. So I'm ready to rock. So let's do it again.
And I'm claiming all those collaborations.
Yes.
That's happen too. It's gonna happen soon.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And shout out to Miss Sherry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sherry, my girl. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and have a great one. Come back for a part 2 soon.
Well, let's do it. Thank you. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.